You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry, Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show. It is Friday night and we usually have the fun and frolics on a Friday night, and alongside me tonight I have my lovely little co-host, Mr. Mark Manley. Good evening, Mark. How are you?
Apparently I'm lovely.
Apparently you're lovely, yeah. Allegedly. It's my favourite word.
Apparently, yes, absolutely really cool. Allegedly.
Allegedly. I love that word.
You know me. You know I'm bloody gorgeous, mate. So, hello.
Oh dear, we're all gorgeous in this studio tonight.
This is very true. Is the wee Scottish one now?
No, I was just about to say that the wee Scottish lassie Kaz Rooney unfortunately is unable to join us tonight, so it's just me and you.
Okay, no problem. No problem at all.
So, my lovely man, any feedback from last week's Nordic show, the Norse I can't speak clearly. I'll put my teeth back in, shall I?
yeah, you do that.
Yeah, the Norse mythology show. Did we get any feedback from last week?
I like I say, I get I've got a few people on my Facebook with me, and they're like really like the show, and I think, if I remember rightly, we should have Jamie in there tonight. And there's a few other people across the pond who starting to listen now, and people at work here. So we shall see what happens. Comes in and this and the other. But so far, so good. And it seems to be getting better and better.
Well, you are breaking up a little bit. I will just say that.
Am I?
Yeah, you're going a bit like I'm a little.
Right. Oh, God, how am I going to do this? Bear with me.
He's fiddling with his tech. Live on air, we're fiddling with tech. It's never good. Anyway, tonight's subject we thought we'd bring you is actually off the back of the Norse mythology show, because we talked about the Jotnars, which are the giants to do with Norse mythology. So when we got talking, we said it's actually a huge subject, giants, and it's quite relevant.
Yeah.
It's quite relevant because they're in the cryptozoology world around at the moment, aren't they?
This is very true. I can't do anything because if I do it, it'll cut Skype off. So you just have to bear with me, I'm afraid.
Right, okay. You're now perfect. Do not move. Stay in that exact position and you will be fine.
All right, I shall stay here.
He is now on his head doing a handstand in the lotus position.
Dude, I know. It blocks my eyesight out. They dropped down and fell again. I'm sorry.
But the signal's now good, so we will stay with that position. So we are now talking about giants. I nearly said dragons then. I don't know what I'm on tonight.
We've done a show. Sure, we did a show on dragons. Yes, we did.
Definitely did do a show on dragons. But tonight we're talking giants. This could go anywhere with my teeth tonight, I tell you. Now, and one of the things that I noticed about the work you put, because Mark did the research this week for me, because I'm being lazy at the moment, quite frankly. And they're all over the world.
Yeah. Remember my theory a long time ago about when Pangea was Pangea, and you've got precursors, and this is reason why you've got like Bigfoot and other cryptos in various parts of the world, is because when it was Pangea, it was all together, so they could migrate here, there, and everywhere. So same thing with giants. That's why they're found everywhere.
I know. I was actually quite astonished because apart from the usual myths and legends that you hear about giants, like David and Goliath, and what's the other one? The two that threw rocks at each other from Ireland.
Gog and Magog.
Finn
McCool.
Finn McCool, which we'll talk about later. But the usual sort of, and the big friendly giant. Don't forget the big friendly giant.
Yes, BFG. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small cumbers.
And the ones in Harry. Can't forget Harry Potter going on there.
And Fee Fi Fo Fum. And you've also got Jack and the Beanstalk. And what were the other ones? Game of Thrones. There was 2 giants in that.
Was there? I couldn't have got up to that
series. Yeah.
Couldn't have got up to that bit.
Oh, they got killed.
Oh.
They got killed.
Yeah, giants tend to normally get killed at the end of it in all of them.
This is
why am I laughing?
very true.
Inappropriate humour again.
See, I'm not going to say anything because I could have said things about giant rocks, giant clubs, dragon edge, giant around. I don't know, but depends how big the trees were near them that had the nuts growing on them.
All I can say is I'm glad it broke up at that point because it was probably an inappropriate comment that was said right then. So anyway.
It was.
Let's start over in America. Let's start right at the top of it and start in the Native American tribes and some of the legends that surround giants from the Americas. Go on, off you go.
Believe it or not, there's lots and lots and lots. But I put a brief one down. At the moment, right, an ancient race of white giants have been described in native legends from many tribes. Several Native American tribes have passed down legends of a race of white giants who were wiped out. We'll take a look at a few of them. And among those are those of the Choctaw, the Comanches of the United States, down to Peru Choctaw. Right. There was a Choctaw Indian, Horatio Barlow Cushman, wrote in his book when he wrote about the Choctaws. Chickasaw, and
the Chickasaws.
Natchez.
And the Natchez.
Yeah, Chickasaws and Natchez. The tradition of Choctaw. They told of a race of giants that once inhabited the now state of Tennessee, and with whom their ancestors fought when they arrived in Mississippi in their migration from the west. Because Native Americans don't originally come from Native America; they came across a land bridge from Asia when there was a land bridge there. Their tradition states the Nahulo, or race of giants, as it means, was of wonderful stature, Cushman said. Nahulo came to be used to describe all white people, but it originally referred specifically to a giant white race with whom the Choctaw came into contact when they first crossed the Mississippi River. The Nahulo was said to be cannibals whom the Choctaw killed whenever the opportunity arose. Trouble is, there's a lot of Native American legends to do with giants, and all to do with precursors, and as we know ourselves, in a lot of other tribes and a lot of other cultures and across the world, it's all the same thing. You've got the precursors, you've got legends of giants, and you've got this, that, and the other. But with the Comanches, with the Native Americans, it varies greatly. You've got, a band of giant white people going around eating people, to extremely technologically advanced people who try to make friends, with them and this, that, and the other. So there's a lot of different stories going up and down the country.
So hold on, let me get this right. So these giant people were there in America before the Native Americans got there?
Before they came across the land bridge, yeah.
So they're not Native Americans then?
Native Americans, no. Originally, they came from like Asia and that area. Like I say, and they migrated across the land bridge, and then that all broke up. They got stuck over in America.
Just saying. Just a little point there.
Yeah,
no. History point there.
Yeah,
everyone takes land from each other. All I'm saying.
Well, they went and gave the giants a belt
according to
and
the
a mouth
legend,
and a
of course, because we haven't proved that we've got giants yet. So carry on.
Actually, if I remember rightly, along the Colorado River, a cave was discovered that you couldn't see unless you actually went down there on a boat and stopped at a particular place. This is purely going from my own memory. And when they went in there, everything was made for giant people. There was like there was chairs, table. It was like a full, cave living system, but it was all for people of giant stature, and that was recently found. And there's been lots and lots of things. Yeah, I can't remember where I read about that, but there's lots of things like that, and there's also legends about the mounds in North America, in the deserts and that. Some of them being opened up, and they found remains of giant people inside, and this, that, and the other. Do you want me to talk about a few more of these Native American things?
Oh, go on then.
Comanches. Chief Rolling Thunder of the Comanches was a tribe from the Great Plains.
I think I'm going to be. I'm going to name myself Chief Speaker of Wisdom of the Parasurge.
Personally, I think your Indian name should be She Who Farts Loudly.
Thanks. I never ever know what's going to come out of your mouth, do I?
Oh, mine should be Man Who Suffers Teenagers.
Yeah, Man Who Suffers Teenage Angst himself, I think, should be it. Anyway, I wish I hadn't started that train of thought now. Carry on.
Chief Rolling Thunder of the Comanches, the tribe of the Great Plains, gave the following account of an ancient race of white giants in 1857. I'll do it in my best voice. Innumerable moons ago, a race of white men, 10 feet high, and more rich and powerful than any white people now living here, inhabited a large range of country extending from the rising to the setting sun. The fortifications crowned the summits of all the mountains, projecting their populous cities situated in the intervening valleys. I'll stop the accent now because it sounds silly.
Thanks.
They excelled every other nation which was flourished either before or since in all manner of cunning handicraft. They were brave and warlike, ruling over the land they had wrested from its ancient possessors, with a high and haughty hand. Compared with them, the pale faces of the present day, they were pygmies in both arts and arms. And the chief explained that when this race forgot justice and mercy and became too proud, the Great Spirit wiped them out, and all that was left of their society with a mound still visible on the tablelands. And that sounds like, biblical accounts of places being wiped out. Like Sodom and Gomorrah was wiped out by fire and brimstone and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
But it's the fact that every single race, because they have a very good oral history, and there's a lot to be said for their oral history. And it's nice to hear all these Native American accounts because, quite frankly, I believe a lot of their stuff. I don't think it's... They know a lot of things we don't, and people should listen to them a bit more.
They should, but that's why they're such a threat to certain people, is all I can say on that one.
Yes.
Now, like you said, there's so many from all around the world. Isn't there? I mean, going over into Peru, which is South America, yes?
Yes.
My geography is a bit dodgy, so I'm like, is that South America? I think so. It could be Africa for all I know. No, it's Peru.
Like the Alapaca Mountains, yeah.
It's near the Alapaca Mountains, yeah. I need to get maps when I do these kind of shows. And now he was talking, a guy called Pedro Cieza de Leon wrote in the Chronicle of Peru about legendary giants that were described to him by the Manta indigenous people. So again, we've got indigenous people with very verbal, passed on legends talking about giants. Now, apparently, these giants landed on the coast at the point of Santa Elena, and the natives related the following tradition. That they arrived on boats made of reeds as big as large ships, a party of men of such size that from the knee downwards their height was as great as the entire height of an ordinary man. Their limbs were all in proportion to the deformed size of their bodies, and it was a monstrous thing to see their heads with hair reaching to their shoulders, and their eyes were as large as small plates. Now, one thing that I did think about this one was, weren't the people there quite small?
They were, because, I mean, the Spanish back then, I mean, they're not exactly a tall race anyway, but the Spanish back then, the average height was of like 5 foot, 5'2", something like that.
Well, these are the indigenous people. But no, these are the indigenous
I'm just
people.
saying. Yeah, indigenous Peruvians were a lot smaller. But you've also got to remember that, like, if you're coming up to the knee of a giant, then A, you'd better be hoping that they've got a loincloth on or something. B, if they haven't got a loincloth on, make sure they don't spin around too quickly near you.
Oh, my God.
And C, wear a head guard, But...
Mark!
Yes, if you're talking 4 foot, average height for the indigenous people then, and they come up to their knees, then you're looking at about 10 foot. When you think about it, if you work it out logically, is you're looking at about 8 foot tall, between 8 and 10 foot tall. So they are going to be pretty. You're talking the Harlem Globetrotters.
They're tall people.
Very.
They are tall
very.
people.
And,
now, Leon said that, I love this one, that the sexual habits of these giants were revolting to the natives, and heaven eventually decided to wipe out these giants because of those habits.
What does that remind you of?
The mind boggles as to what habits they were.
I was going to go into that, but all I was going to say is, remember when I said everything in all religious books happen along the same timeline?
I know. They're actually in...
very much like Sodom and Gomorrah.
I know, but it also... What surprises me as we go further on, there are giants in the Bible.
Yeah.
I was shocked at that. Clearly, I've not read the Bible.
Well, you got Achilles and all that lot as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I know, but, I just hadn't really thought about it as them as giants. I just thought they were big people.
No, there's giants in the Bible. And they've always stated that there's... what's the place in America?
I love
I will remember the name.
I love the fact that you give me a little hint and then that was it. I was supposed to guess from that.
Trying to remember that it's Smithsonian. Smithsonian. They've actually got some skeletons of giants, and quite a few years ago they used to say, "Yeah, we've got these skeletons," and there was photos taken of them, this, that, and the other. But nowadays, skeletons have mysteriously vanished, and they have no idea what you're talking about. And that's not just from me. I've read numerous reports of that where people have tried to ask to see them and this, that, and the other, and they're like, "Whoa, we haven't got that anymore. Don't know what you're talking about."
I know. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat room. Oh, Jimmy. Carl says, Little Miss Thunderclap.
Little Miss Thunderclap. Yes, I've been there when she's done that.
And, no, you haven't. And Jamie has said 7 foot is the maximum in her family, or his family.
We got 4 in ours. He's an admiral in the Navy.
Goodness, that's tall, though, isn't it?
God, yeah. One of my friends I used to work with, Polish guy, he's 6'9". And when I stood next to him,
I was going to say, in this day and age, you think anybody 6'2" is quite a nice height, yeah?
Yeah.
That's quite a nice height for us girls. We like a 6'2" guy. 6'4", 6'5" is a little bit too tall. But get above that. It is giant, isn't it?
It is.
Someone like Kaz, who's, bless her, 4 foot nothing, and me, I'm 5'2".
Bless her! You're talking about the Scottish Destroyer. I don't know.
I didn't say she was unpowerful or unempowered. I just said she's tiny.
She is the strongest Mac Beagle I've seen for a long time.
She is very small, bless her.
And she's in the chat room. I'm just waiting for her to go.
Okay, right, what's next? What's up next? What we're going to talk about next?
Well, we've done some of the Native Americans. Yeah. Right. what about some more Native American stuff? Red-haired giants of Nevada.
Okay.
Yeah?
Go on then.
Right. This is somebody's account, right? Now, and I'm going to read it as if I'm him. Growing up in Nevada, I had heard stories of the Sitka from the Paiute Indians who lived in the area. They told of red-haired men and women of light-coloured skin, again with the white skin, as tall as 12 feet, who originally lived in the area where the Paiutes had first arrived. And again, that's the same thing as the other legends. They were there before the Native Americans arrived from across the land bridge. Mm-hmm. Evidently, these human tribes like to eat the Indians. It's probably what their sexual habits were. So they had problems making friends. I like
really?
that.
You think you've had a bit of a problem making friends with the Indians? Well, that's hardly a surprise, really, when they get eaten.
I can just imagine that. You all right, mate? Yeah, how you doing? Oh, hang on, I've just got to get this thigh bone out of my teeth.
Oh dear. Anyway, carry on.
Yes. The Indian tribes of the local area finally joined and ambushed the giants, killing most of them on the spot. But the remaining giants took refuge in a cave. The Indians demanded they came out and fight, but the giants refused. So the Indians piled brush into the cave and set it on fire. Any giants that did run out were shot with arrows. The remaining giants were asphyxiated.
Lovely.
In the 1800s, this cave was known as Horseshoe Cave, but it's now called Lovelock Cave. And Lovelock Cave is located around 20 miles south of Lovelock in Nevada, right? Mm. But in 1911, bat guano harvesters. What a lovely job. What did you do today? Oh, got bat shit. Started working in this same cave. And after they dug out 4 feet of bat poo, they found many broken arrows that the Indians had fired into the cave. So that goes along, with the story. As well as other interesting artifacts. And yes, they found red-haired giants. Even in the shrunken, mummified condition, the giants ranged in height from 8 feet to just under 12. Somebody did an internet search on this subject and found that the reported heights are very different from what's said here. Internet says 6'5" to 8 foot. 8 foot still plenty tall. Right, and there was a giant's jawbone. Now, what you guys can't in the chat room and on the radio listening to can't actually see is Kerry and myself can see the photo of this jawbone and compared to a normal human's jawbone. And the normal human jawbone fits inside it, and it's like somebody's wearing a predator head on top. It's that big.
It's huge.
They are massive, and the molars in there have got to be as thick as my thumb, easily. They are huge.
They are huge.
They are, yeah, they're extremely massive anyway. But the thing is, if they're supposed to be cannibals, these teeth that I'm looking at, they're herbivores' teeth. Like us, omnivores, sorry. They eat everything. I suppose you've got to have a bit of herbs with your Native American, I suppose. Yes, and anyway, there is another one here. Some of the artifacts were taken to the Humboldt Museum. Oh, I've got to try and say this name. The Humboldt Museum at Winnemucca, Nevada, and in the Nevada State Historical Society's museum at Reno, and they're still there. And there was a miner reported the fight in 1931, June the 19th, day after my birthday, 1931, reported the find of 2 giant skeletons in the Humboldt lake bed. Both skeletons were wrapped in a gum-treated fabric. The first skeleton was 8.5 feet tall. The second was just under 10 feet tall. Another one, in 1877, prospectors outside of Eureka, Nevada, found a human leg broken off 4 inches above the kneecap, including the foot. The leg was found sticking out a solid red quartzic rock dating from the time of the dinosaurs. After using their picks to extract their find from the rock, they took it to Eureka. Doctors examined the bones and stated that they did indeed belong to a human of very modern appearance. The interesting part was the size of the bones. They measured from heel to knee 39 inches, so that means he only would have stood over 12 feet tall. The area was searched for more remains, but nothing else was found.
But I think, Nevada is well renowned for dinosaur. I
don't see why there wouldn't be big precursors, because you had megafauna. So, it was if you think logically along those lines, and you come more and more around to the precursor theory that there were actually people in the time of the dinosaurs. If you've got megafauna, why wouldn't you have mega people?
Don't know.
I'm sorry, my mind's boggling in the chat. Sorry, I've just seen Kaz. My ex is 6'6" and she's 4 foot nothing.
I know.
Logistically, I'm not going to go there. No.
Yeah, don't go there, Mark. Don't go there.
No. I was thinking of a hamster and a banana, but Anyway.
Yes. Let's not.
Yes.
Let's not do that. Right. Let's move country. And let's have a look at Hawaii.
Go on then, because I'm trying to find it.
Okay. Oh,
Hawaii,
why do I pick the hard-worded one? The Olowalu Mau Hawaii petroglyphs. Now, for over 20 years,
I found it.
somebody was living in the island of Hawaii. Now, they'd heard about the legends of the red-haired giants, and allegedly 2 giant 10 and 12-foot red-haired skeletons, so again red hairs, were found in a lava cave in a canyon behind the Olowalu Mountain volcano, whatever it was. Now this person, oh my god, Olowalu. Now they tried to go and find this cave, as you do, because you hear a legend, why not go and explore? And whilst they were going up this canyon, they were told that research was happening, which is all very exciting. An archaeological dig is going on about something that you're actually going to search for. Now, they actually went and found the road up to it, and they got stopped by a car with a man and a woman in it. Now, the woman told this lady that she had to leave the area, but did say that they had found red-haired skeletons, and they were much larger than they should be. Now, she wouldn't say anything more than that, and basically they were told to, leave the area. Now, one of the Hawaiian legends is regarding that there is the spirit of Pele, that is the goddess of fire, that is believed to live inside the volcano. Now, Pele started out as a physical Pele that travelled the islands. Now, she is described as being extremely tall, with fiery red hair, fair skin, great strength, credible beauty, a voracious sexual appetite. There's a common theme here, clearly.
It sounds very familiar.
They're very wanton, aren't they, these giants? And a deadly temper. Now, it is mentioned that Pele's father is the man-eater Kuwahu Ilo, or Ilo, who dwells in the far-off heavens. Oh, we haven't got an alien link here, have we?
I have no idea. There might be a alien link there.
Now, Pele travelled to the islands of Hawaii, digging underground tunnels in an effort to find a spot that she could dig deep caves that did not flood with water, so she could make a safe home for her family. So that's the legend that it actually is in Hawaii. Now, several days after meeting the man and the woman in the SUV, going back to that other lady that was looking for the archaeological site, that she decided that she was going to go back at night because she really wanted to see where this discovery was. But she took a different road and found some petroglyphs. What a petroglyph, I assume, is similar to a hieroglyph.
It's exactly the same. It's just hieroglyphs are Egyptian, petroglyphs are not.
Now, she was stopped by a guy who was actually a local security guard, and he told her that yes, 2 giants were found, a man and a woman. The big one was easily 12 foot, and he did not like staying in the canyon at night. It just really freaked him out. Now, he did say where the cave was, but it didn't matter because they covered it all completely, and now the whole area is just a housing estate, so we can't verify that or not.
So basically, they did their dig, they got all their readings, measurements, photos, etc., 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 took everything away, and then discreetly covered it all up.
Wow.
That sounds very familiar.
Again, it does sound incredibly familiar, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you wanted to know about the alien link. The alien link, do you remember when we did a show and we were talking about the Nordic looking aliens?
Uh-huh.
They are described somewhere between 7 and 10 feet tall.
See, that's really tall, isn't it?
it is, and that would be your alien link. And again, it all comes back to legends stating that the gods or goddesses and their fathers who lived among stars came to visit on flaming chariots.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, it's all very, very strange. Now, the Incas, they actually had kings that were giants and had red hair and blonde hair.
Yeah.
And in the Gold Museum in Lima, you can still see the clothing and head of an Inca king. Inca King. Oh, it sounds like a Burger King chain. Who stood an easy 10 feet tall. Now, his golden robe is 8 feet long, and allegedly it didn't touch the ground when he wore it. And his gold gloves are twice as long as somebody's hand.
Well, a lot of the Incas,
that's big hands,
legends and the people before them. Yeah, a lot of the legends of the South Americans, they state that a lot of them came from the sky. You know, Quetzalcoatl and all that lot, their gods were these things that streamed fire and steam, came from the sky. So, you know.
Yeah. Now, apparently, there's an old copper mine near...
Yes.
Now, we're coming closer to home a little bit now. A little bit. We're coming closer to home. In Llandudno, in Wales, North Wales, they found a 64-pound sledgehammer. And they found that in a 3,500-year-old copper mine. That's a big hammer.
Big.
Do you think we're getting enough references to big?
There's definitely a lot of references to big here. I'm just keeping an eye on the... oh dear, no, they're off in the chat room. Carl's off, Jamie's off. Yes, it's big. Big clubs, big hammers, big weapons altogether.
It's all very big. And with sexual deviancy going on as well, we're getting very rude again on a Friday night. How do we manage to do this? Between aliens and sex, we seem to manage it every single week in some shape or form.
Alien giant sex, there's a show.
It looks like we're doing it tonight. Not doing it tonight, clearly, but, you know where I'm going with that thought.
Well, there's about 300 miles difference, between us.
Anyway, let's talk about the fantastic... I love this story.
Yeah, big.
I love this story. Mainly because you've got to love Una. She is one very funny, very clever lady. And all I can say is, she is just superb. Not just that, but this is one I have to go to see this at some point in my life. I have got to go and see this area because it sings to my geological side that I love rocks and stuff and formations. So, we're going to go everywhere together at this rate. We need to earn some money first. Now, this is all about
I'm going
Finn
over
McCall.
there sometime this year or next year anyway.
This is all about Finn McCall and the Giant's Causeway. Now, Mark, take it away because this is got to be done. Parts of this have got to be done with the Irish accent, and I can't do accents. We've established this.
Your Irish accent tends to go via Nigeria. Right.
It's true.
Finn McCall and how the Giant's Causeway came to be. Basically, Ulster is in the most northern of Ireland's ancient kingdoms. Its landscape is fabulously beautiful. It has towering cliffs and rocky hills, winding rivers and scooped-out lakes that they look like they could have been made by the hands of slightly crazy giants. There are many stone tombs here, 5,000 years old, made of enormous boulders that could not possibly have been lifted by one man, or even a whole family of ordinary men. For many years, the local people have named them Giant's Graves. Stories are told of one great Irish giant, Finn McCall, whose most fearsome enemies were the Scottish giants. Finn was so angry and determined to get at them that he built a whole causeway from Ulster across the sea to Scotland. And this is true. If you go to the other end, where the causeway is supposed to be, at Scotland, you'll see the exact same stones, the volcanic hexagonal shape. He built it of unusual six-sided cobblestones so they would fit neatly together like a honeycomb, and they made a very pretty pavement indeed. And then one day he shouted a challenge to the Scottish giant Benandonna, the Red Man, to cross the causeway and fight him. So basically, he said to him, "Jesus, what you heckin' looking at?" And that was it. But as soon as he saw the Scot getting closer and closer on the causeway, he realised Benandonna was much, much bigger than he imagined. So Finn legged it back home to the port of Allen in County Kildare. And there he told his wife, Jesus, I picked a fight, and Jesus, should you look at the size of him? He's about 4 times the size of me. Woman, hide me! And he said he thought better of it. So Finn heard the stamping feet of Benandonna from Killock. Oh no, it's Kilcock. Right. And when those feet got to Robertstown, Finn had to stuff 5 pounds of moss into each ear just so he couldn't hear it. Redman's spear was as tall and thick as a round tower, and he used it to knock on the door of the fort of Allen. Finn wouldn't answer the door. So his wife shoved him in a great bath with a couple of sheets over and went, "Yeah, Jesus, you big feckin' baby." And she went and opened the door. Finn's wife, Una, thought quickly. She opened the door to Benandonna saying, "Oh, Jesus, it's such a pity, but Finn is away hunting deer in County Kerry. Won't you come in anyway and wait? I'll show you into the great hall. You can sit down after your long journey." Una invited Redman to look around the room and showed him what she said was some of Finn's possessions. "Would you like to put your spear down just next to Finn's?" Finn's was a huge fir tree with a pointed stone at the top. "Oh, Jesus, and over there's Finn's shield." It was a block of building oak as big as 4 chariot wheels. "Finn's late for his meal. We'll eat it if I cook his favourite." Una cooked a cake of griddle bread baked with iron griddle pressed inside it. Redman bit it hungrily and broke off 3 front teeth. The meat was a strip of hard fat nailed to a block of red timber. 2 back teeth cracked. He was given a 5-gallon bucket of honey beer to drink. "Would you like to say hello to the baby?" "Wait, I'll have to feed her first." Una threw a loaf of bread to the huge baby in the bath cradle, and peeping out from a huge sheet-like dress and bonnet was Finn McCool himself, contentedly sucking his thumb. And Benandonna said he wasn't much good with babies, and the honey beers make him feel a bit woozy, so I think I better go home. Better go outside, clear my head. Una showed the red man out, where the gardens were scattered about with boulders as tall as the giant himself. Finn and his friends like to play catch with these rocks. Finn practices by throwing them one over the fort, then running round to catch it before it falls. Jesus, 'tis a sight to see. Of course, Redman tried, but it was so heavy he could only just lift it above his head before dropping it. The blow only ripped his neck. Luckily, the Scotsman's head was very hard. Like most Scottish people, really. But it was also full of good things. He thanked Una for her hospitality, and he said he would wait no longer, but return to Scotland before the tide came in. Finn leapt from the cradle, thanked Una for her shrewdness, and chased Benandonna out of Ireland. Passing Portadown, County Antrim, Finn scooped up a huge clod of earth out of the ground to fling at the retreating Scot. The hole filled up with water and became the biggest loch in Ireland, Loch Near. The clod he flung missed its target and landed in the middle of the Irish Sea. That became the Isle of Man. And then both giants tore up Giant's Causeway, just leaving the ragged ends of the 2 shores. There you go.
Yeah, I love that story. I absolutely love that story. I just think it is so funny. For a start.
It is. I mean, the trouble is you can see it happening.
It really sums up both races.
Alcohol, food, fighting.
Yeah, and the women being quite shrewd, you know, quite
Definitely,
clever
yeah.
cookie and brave. I mean, you know, you just don't balk from it. Just get in the bath, guy. Do you know what I mean? And I tried to do an Irish accent there. Did you hear me?
You did, and it went...
It went north. I
just
north.
get into that bath.
Just get into the bath, son. You know what I mean? And but no, I just absolutely love it. I just think that it's brilliant. And also, I actually heard a story. This was a spiritual lady. She actually went to the Giant Causeway, and she did a meditation there. This is recent times, and she actually came across. And it was actually a leprechaun size. It was tiny, she said. And he said his name was Finn McCool.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know what? There have been a few legends of the name Finn McCool, not just being used for a giant, but for a very particular mischievous type of leprechaun.
Yeah.
So I wonder I wonder if there's something to do. There is some truth in it.
I don't know, but she said he gave her a lot of wisdom about things on a spiritual front. I can't divulge because obviously it was a private working that she did. But she said it was like a little leprechaun. She goes, it wasn't what she expected, and she was blown away when he said his name was Finn McCool, because in her head she had the legend of Finn McCool, the giant. So she was like, really? You're Finn McCool? It was, she was quite blown away by that. But there are legends of people working or seeing Finn McCool around the Giant Causeway, but it's not a giant. It tends to be a little leprechaun type figure, like a little elfling kind of scenario thing.
I can remember my father, when he was alive, he swore blind that there were leprechauns. And, this, like I say, you've got to remember, this guy's ex-SAS. And I always thought he was taking the mickey and just mucking about. But no, he generally wasn't. He genuinely said there were leprechauns and he'd seen them. Personally, I think he may have been drinking a bit too much of the old golden nectar there. But, he swore blind there were leprechauns, and so do a lot of my family over in Southern Ireland.
Wow. That's a whole show. That's a whole different show. But I'm sure we've covered leprechauns before now at some point, didn't we?
Well, we could do a show on Irish things, because you've got leprechauns and banshees and this, that and the other from there.
Yeah, we could. Anyway, let's stick on to this show for the minute. Now, in Greece, going across the sea, or the river.
We're going to the nice place.
Whatever you want to call it. Thames, not the Thames. I can't even remember what it's called. I don't even know what I'm talking about now. Honestly, my brain is like fuzz tonight. When you look at like the gods of Olympus, they had a fight with the Titans, didn't they?
That's right. And Titans were the original inhabitants of the earth, and they were huge, dirty, great big things. And there
was a massive battle. Now, they were called the Gigantes.
Yes.
They were called that. Now, Enceladus of the Gigantes was the son of Gaia. Now, Gaia is obviously, we use that nowadays in new age stuff. Yeah, workings and stuff like that. We praise the mother goddess Gaia. So it's, that is still something we do. Now, she was the mother goddess in Greek mythology. Now, the Gigantes, were enormous, otherwise known as the Titans. Now, Enceladus had the lower limbs of a serpent and dragon scales for feet. Attractive, I would say. Now, when the battle ensued between the Olympian gods of the Gigantes, Athena, the goddess of just war, amongst other things, she has lots of titles, but Athena, we all know, again, Athena is a well-known name. She injured Enceladus with her spear, which disabled him, and then Enceladus was then allegedly buried under Mount Etna on the island of Sicily. Now, fire from the volcano, huge legends surrounding Mount Etna. Now, fire from the volcano is said to be Enceladus' breath, and too much garlic, I would feel. And
you eat enchiladas?
Pardon?
Can't you eat enchiladas? I'm sure you can.
Yeah, it's a Mexican dish.
Well, if you're eating enchiladas and it's a giant, supposedly that's probably one of the disgusting sexual practices, and that's why they're all oh God, no, don't look at them, darling.
Two totally different countries, I feel. Anyway, and tremors from the volcano are said to be him rolling over to comfort the side where he was wounded. And to this day, people say that the earthquake is caused by by Enceladus himself. I mean, we looked at Norse mythology. I keep saying North. Last week, I don't even know what I say.
Legend of the Whippet.
My head is all fuzzy. Now, my computer keeps buzzing at me. I do apologise if you can hear that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about King Arthur.
Yeah.
We're coming all the way back over to Glastonbury.
We're coming to my neck of the woods where I used to be. Yes.
We are. Now, this is actually a fascinating story, and it's not really been completely... There are so many alleged places where King Arthur is supposed to be buried, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be underneath the Tor. He's supposed to be in the Abbey. He originally was supposed to be in the abbey with Guinevere, and then the bones were moved to a different part of the abbey because people kept trying to take them. And there's a legend about the tour. If you can actually, because I'm sure there's a cave system or a door or something underneath the tour, and if you can get through there, that's apparently where the Knights of the Round Table are awaiting being woken.
And there's Knights Templar as well, supposed to be.
And some of their treasure as well,
Links there as well, but we're going to be covering that, I think, in a show on the Paranormal Concept Show on a Tuesday. I think it's this Tuesday, actually. I better do some work on that one. Hey-ho, so many shows, so little time. Now, in the grounds of Old Glastonbury, in Glastonbury Abbey, which is down the bottom, there is a grave with a plaque that reads, "It is the tomb of King Arthur." Now, according to one account written by the historian Gerald of Wales, Queen Guinevere, I've got this cold coming back down. I'm coming back down with this flu bug thing, and I can feel it. And oh my God, my brain is mush. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Queen Guinevere is also in the same grave. Now, when monks in the year 1191 dug up the grave, they found the remains of a man who would have been about 7 feet tall in life. Now, that is quite tall. I wouldn't actually say that's quite giant in regards to some of the giants we've been talking about. But even so, that's pretty damn tall.
Oh, God, yeah. Especially back then.
And there was a little lady, a little woman, was lying next to him, and she had long golden hair that apparently disintegrated when it was touched, which, wouldn't it? Now, it was an unusual grave that the monks had found. It was 16 feet underground, and there they found a stone slab on top of a hollowed-out log. Under the slab was a lead cross that had an inscription on it identifying the remains of Arthur and Guinevere. Now, in the year of 1278, the remains of the grave were transferred to a shrine in the new monastic church, which is apparently where you can be seen today. Now, as I say, 7 feet is very, very tall, and he was, in all the legends, a very tall man, wasn't he, King Arthur?
Was, and I've actually seen that cross, and it does say, it's got in Old English on it, something along the lines of "This is the remains of Arthur, King of England." And it's quite fascinating thing to see, actually.
But whether it is or not, because as I say, if you look into the legends of Arthur, there's loads of places, not just in Glastonbury, but like Tintagel, isn't there? I'm sure I read something somewhere in Dorset was supposed to be the resting place, and even up our way in Essex was supposed to be. There's a place in Surrey.
There's a place in Surrey called the Silent Pool near Guildford. And legend has it that King Arthur scared a handmaiden who was washing something there when he was camped out there, and she fell in the pool and drowned. And you're supposed to be able to see her spirit of a night and hear King Arthur galloping across on his horse or something.
Ooh, spooky.
The Silent Pool.
Now, right at the top of the show, we talked about some religious references in the Bible or religious texts regarding giants, which surprised me. I mean, I know that there are... Actually, I might have to read this Bible because there's, all sorts of things in this Bible. But I think I got to the part where so-and-so begot so-and-so, who begot so-and-so, who begot so-and-so, and begot so-and-so, and then went away and begot so-and-so. So I think I got a bit bored at that point. So maybe I should skip the begots and just go straight into the stories. Because obviously we talked about at the top of the show, David meets Goliath. In the Old Testament, in Genesis 6-4, it says that giants were on the earth when the sons of God in unto the daughters of men.
He did, and I quite like the albums they used to bring out as well, Genesis.
They were awesome. They were awesome. In Deuteronomy 3-11, in referring to after the Great Flood, tells how only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants.
Again, precursors.
Wow. In the Tanakh, the canon of the Hebrew Bible, a race of giants called the Anakim lived south of the land of Canaanite, near Hebron. I probably said that word right. Canaanite, or wherever that is. Near Hebron. And in Numbers 13:33, ancestors of the Anakim were the Nephilim, from the sons of God, and daughters of man. Oh, these people coming down from the high above to mate with us lovely ladies. Yet again.
Can you imagine with a giant? Hey ho. Anakin.
Sorry.
Oh, you've been walking like you're chewing a toffee for a long time.
Oh dear.
Anakin and the Nephilim are also linked to the Anunnaki. I'm not going to say any more on that. I'll just leave it there. But they are linked to the Anunnaki and Nibiru.
Oh God. In Hinduism, there is a race of giants called the Daityas. They are the clan of Asura, a race of deities who are always battling the devas for power. The devas are benevolent supernatural beings, whilst the deities or deityas or whatever it says are aggressive and power-seeking. So, and the word Asura in ancient hymns means powerful and mighty.
I'm going to come back to it again, but yes, Carl, you would be walking like John Wayne. I know. Remember,
thank you, Jamie. Canaanite. Thank God for the chat room is all I can say, because we can't say these words.
Jamie knows her stuff about religious texts and things. She's somebody you can always ask about things like that.
Maybe we should get her on a show.
She knows what she's talking about. But yes, every religious text book, remember I've said, all have the same events, all happening along the same timeline. They may appear different and look different to what people of that era and that country would recognise, but it's still the same thing, same timeline, same events.
Well, I have to say, it's incredibly interesting. That's what I find quite interesting is the correlations between different places and locations around the world. And although they might be called different things, if you distill it down, the stories are very, very similar. I mean, in the 1906 Jewish Encyclopedia, there is a large section that are devoted to giants and presented as biblical data. Now, giants are mentioned as inhabitants of the earth before the Great Flood, and they are believed to have belonged to the prehistoric Palestinian tribes. But there are still no definitive proof as to giants. I mean, there's tantalising bits and loads of fake stuff out there,
oh God, yeah.
So much fake out there, but there's no definitive proof as yet that's common public knowledge or acknowledged public knowledge, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Now, this is where you go into a little bit of a alien vibe on this one, don't you? Because there is this theory that some of these giant structures that are made on this earth, we still have trouble even in this day and age, although there's lots of theories and they've tried out different tests, to see if people could have made some of these structures. I mean, you've got to think of, yes, we've looked at the pyramids quite extensively. Even Stonehenge has been looked at quite extensively. But when you start looking at the Nazca lines in Peru, when you start looking at Easter Island,
because only the head's visible, the rest of it's buried underneath.
Exactly. When you start looking at that, they're saying that there's a possibility, this is pure ancient alien theory, that extraterrestrial visitors of, coming down and either giving knowledge and technology to humans to do this, or there were actually alien giants who did the moving.
Well, did they reckon that they lived in harmony with, I'd like to say our ancestors, but it's more, again, going back to the precursor thing. They reckon that a long time ago, when we had precursors, or when it was early man, or when there was lots and lots of different types of hominid about, that they lived peacefully, in harmony with the giants. And the giants were these extremely technologically advanced beings, and were regarded as gods, so because of all their technology.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we mentioned
where I live.
Sorry, we mentioned the Nephilim. Now, that is a Hebrew word that actually means fallen, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they were meant to be the offspring of the gods and human women.
And loosely translated, the word means giants, although the Hebrew word does mean fallen. Now, the Nephilim nowadays is linked to angels.
That's right, yeah. But there's also lots
of theology around that.
Yeah. That's another show, actually.
I was going to say, that in itself is a whole show all by itself, because the research we've done on that, I mean, really is just phenomenal, really. So we might, because we are running out of time, believe it or not.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we go, one thing I would like to say is where I live here in Yorkshire, there's a village near here called Market Wheaton. And there's actually the gravesite of a giant who was commonly known as Giant Bradley. And his name was William Bradley, and he died in 1820, and he was 7'9" tall, and that was fact.
7'9".
7'9", yeah.
7'9". That is huge, isn't it?
He was 33 years old when he died.
What's the tallest man in the like?
Isn't that Edward Wadlow, whatever his name is? What, living or dead?
The one that's in the I was going to say Natural History Museum, but it's not in the Natural History Museum. It's in the...
Please believe it or not.
Oh, goodness me. The ones where you are the best at something.
Guinness Book of World Records.
That's the one.
That'll be the one.
That'll be the one. Sorry.
The world's currently, world living... the current living world's tallest man has actually stopped growing now. He's 8'1", Sultan Kosen from Turkey.
8'1".
Yeah, and I'm just trying to find out how big. I think it was Wadlow. Eric Wadlow. Let me have a look. Robert Wadlow. Right, he was. Let me just have a quick look. See how tall he was when he died. He was. Flipping heck, 8'11.1". Wow.
8'11.1".
Yeah.
And if I remember rightly, he was actually proportional, wasn't he?
Baby's arm holding a Jaffa. Yeah.
Oh my God, I just have mental images all over the place now. Anyway,
and Jamie, you're right.
We have covered some, holy cow, indeed. We have covered only some of the myths and legends from around the world about giants tonight. There are so many more. We've literally scratched the surface. Now, next week, we have actually got GSI on board with us for an interview. They're coming on to tell us what they've been up to in the last few months since we last spoke to them. And we're going to meet their new team member. I love the way she points out exactly. Jamie in the chat room has pointed out exactly what we're talking about.
There's actually a giant cut into the hillside in Dorset. And all I'll say is I've been there, I've seen it. And yeah, giant one of them, exactly. Yes.
Wow, that particular... chalk carving thing is actually a fertility symbol, so yes, it would have a huge one. Now, let's say next week on the Dark Mirror show, we actually have GSI on with us, and we've got Gary Waters, we've got Karen coming on with us, the newest member of the team, and we're going to be talking everything they've been up to over in Ireland recently, and some lone vigils that poor old Karen has been told to go and do, and has been live feeding. Now, if you listen to the last time they were on, it was an absolute crack, I think is the expression.
Oh, Jesus, tis a crack.
It was absolutely brilliant. So, guys, tune in 9:00 next Friday. Having said that, Sunday night, the Spirit Dimension show, I have got one of my crystal sisters on with me. The lovely Jenny Mills and Claire Hinks is on that show. Tune into that one. Jenny has had an absolutely extraordinary journey through her own spirituality and actually going on to do what she does in the field. And she's great because she's an organiser of events and brings people together. And I can't wait to speak to her. Now, next week we have shows going out. Monday night we've got the Parasearch UK radio show. Mark joined us on that show and we were talking about alien abduction and some of the... And I'm never putting Mark and Jay in the same room together ever is all I can say on that one. On the Paranormal Concept Show next week, we are going to be talking about, I do believe, we will be talking about, oh, hold on. Are we doing curses next week now? Looks like we've moved to curses. He keeps changing things on me.
Well, that's where the curses are coming from.
Oh my God. I think I'm doing one subject and I look at the events and find we're doing something completely different. We're doing curses on Tuesday. On Wednesday night, we have got Sean Cadman on the Supernatural. I've got to change the posters and things because I keep saying paranormal. Supernatural chat show going live at 8, followed by Haunted Histories with Penny G. Morgan, and they're talking about The Village with Lee Roberts is coming on. Fascinating man, that one. Now, on Thursday night, I have got Kaz Rooney in the studio with the Spectral Zone. She is bringing on the absolutely amazing John Blackburn because they're actually out investigating tomorrow night. They're actually going to the Old Victorian School and they're doing an investigation. And they're going to be talking all about that next Thursday night. So have a little listen to that one. And as I say, Friday night, the Dark Mirror Show, we have got Ghost Searchers Island on with us. GSI.
Yeah,
so,
looking forward
on
to
that note, thank you all so much for joining us in the chat room. We hope you enjoyed listening to our show on Giants. Don't forget, subscribe on our YouTube channel, where you get to hear or get to see whenever we have a new show go up. And also, like us on Parasearch Radio, on Spreaker. We have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter page, we have group page, we have discussions, we have fun. We love the paranormal, we're great. Tell your friends, share the shows. That's about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it all there, yeah.
Did I cover it all?
I think so, yeah, I reckon. Tell everybody! Aliens, everything's all mad.
It's all here. It's all on Parasearch Radio. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you very, very soon. Say goodnight, Mark.
I will say goodnight, bye-bye, and aliens!
And I will say farewell. See you on Sunday. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.